In a lot of ways, he thought he was unbelievably blessed under the circumstances. Most of their traveling party had to bunk down under whatever they could find at sundown, and the nights would only get longer. He was really very fortunate. As the thought entered his brain, he was distracted when the hairs on the back of his neck stood on end. His fingers paused in the middle of zipping his fly. He opened his ears, but all he heard was the oppressive silence of the forest. Everett never saw what killed him, and his friend in the tent never heard him die. But the whole camp heard the whispers that made the rounds the next morning. Everett wandered off last night and never came back. By afternoon, they'd found what was left of the body. Chapter 1. I rubbed my eyes with the back of my hand, doing my best to clear the sleep fog from my mind. In the east, the sun began to creep into the sky. Our camp, 100 strong, slept peacefully behind us, unaware of the approaching mob. I shook my head and stifled a yawn. It was damn early, but the duty of defense waited for no one. Fortunately, I had found over the past few days that in terms of energizers, a good ass-kicking ranked even higher than coffee. "Here they come," Deacon announced. The FBI agent stood to my left, his pistol raised and ready. Ware, Maya, and Brax were on my right. The demon's hammer blazed in the grayish dawn, and he drummed his fingers impatiently on the handle. "I wish they'd hurry it up," he muttered. We could see the Forgotten now, tracking toward us in a small horde, one of many since we'd left New York. They'd followed us the whole time, maybe hoping to overrun our group or to pick off stragglers. As the de facto security team, Deacon, Maya, Brax, and I were essentially on constant call, which meant that on most nights we managed a minimum of sleep. A week or so into the journey, we were all paranoid and irritable, but we were exceptionally good at beating these waves of scumbags down. I shook out the Gladius Solus blade. The enemy drew closer, and I picked out a whole variety pack in the front. Half a gang of tattered satyrs, some marked, a brigade of vampire cops, and even a centaur or two. Like us, they all looked worse for wear, but ready to scrap. We were on one big collision course. "Let's do this quick, all right?" Brax grunted tersely. "I don't like being out in the open for too long." "I bet you say that to all your partners." I led the charge with my sword out and rammed the first of the satyrs. Everything about him reeked of cheap alcohol, and I kicked him away from me as he slid off the blade. Staccato bursts of gunfire triggered around me. The bullets sent storms of leaves billowing up all over. "Heads up!" I yelled at my team. "These guys are wasted." I grabbed the nearest attacker by the front of his shirt and swung him into his staggering friends. Their hooves splayed awkwardly as they tumbled backward onto the dewy grass. "At least somebody's been having fun," Deacon remarked. "No wonder they're dropping like flies." It felt a little cheap to take the creatures out while they rolled in an alcohol-induced stupor at my feet, but all my misgivings crumbled away when I remembered the crew Maya and I had found looting the pharmacy. If there was any evidence that the foul-mouthed goatmen were little more than flea-bitten sacks of garbage, I had yet to see it. "I knew a satyr once who was as sober as a councilman," Marcus claimed. I dispatched the last one with mechanical precision. He didn't even bleed from the instantly cauterized wound. Why do I find that impossible to believe? These guys would bleed $5 whiskey if they could. Are you sure he wasn't merely a goat? "You know," Marcus said, smiling, "I do often find it difficult to tell the difference." I snorted and slashed my way through another cloven-hoofed drunkard. Either your jokes are improving, or my sense of humor's been worn down by constant exposure. "I will accept either circumstance." The furious drumming of hooves intruded on Marcus's voice.